Hello, maurieos Optical Differential Leveling 101 for Quantity Surveyors. Hello, welcome. Well, that is quite a mouthful. Now, what is this all about? Well, I've been asked to provide a 2-hour leveling introduction for quantity surveyors or students studying quantity surveying. So in 2 hours I've got a lot to get through. So what I've done is produced this video, which I'm hoping that students will watch beforehand so that they can sort of hit the ground running, or at least at walking pace, so that we can get through a lot of the formalities very quickly and make maximum usage of our 2 hours. So let's just have a look at the overview here, and well, this is our this is our title or thumbnail for the video. And you can see it's got quite a lot of information. Now, first thing is, I've said it's an optical level. Optical means you look through it. So we will be familiarizing ourselves with the actual level, getting to know the level and which end to look through. Don't laugh. Every year I have students that look through the wrong end, look through the big end instead of the little end. So first I thought that was a joke, but no, it's true. So it's an optical level, also referred to by builders as a dumpy level. It has many names, as do many of the terminologies and things associated with this leveling. And it's a differential leveling that we're talking about. We're measuring the difference in height. Okay, we're measuring the difference in height. That's what we're measuring. So what does the level do? Well, all a level does is it defines a horizontal plane. And horizontal plane if you use proper English. That's all it does. It just defines this horizontal plane. You set the level up, it defines the plane, and then you look through the level and you measure using the staff distances above but generally below that horizontal plane. So you're measuring this distance below the plane here to this peg A, and you're measuring this distance here below the horizontal plane to this position here. The difference between those two readings will give you the difference in height, the differential or the difference in height. So then when you move the level to here, it'll set up a horizontal plane, but a different horizontal plane to the first one. So each setup defines a new horizontal plane. And here you're measuring the difference in height from that point, or the distance below the horizontal plane from there to there, and from here to here. The difference between the two will be the difference in height between that point and that point. So if you add the difference in height between there, and the difference in height between there and there, you'll get the difference in height between A and B. So it's pretty simple. But the level, all it does is define a horizontal plane. It doesn't give you position. It doesn't. All it tells you is only measures, well, we can only measure heights with this method. They do have a little circular thing around here that you can use, and you can measure distances with a tape. but typically that's not how things are done. So let's just move on to the next slide and see what we're going to do. So this slide here is the situation that we're going to look at here. Now our task is that we have got an AP, which is an aluminium plug or a drive pin by the container where the gear is, and it's got a known height on it, a known height in terms of a known datum. So the datum is Motoriki datum. So that is the datum that is used here in the Waikato. So the 0 on the Motoriki datum is at Motoriki, which is the little island at the mount, just out in the sea from the mount. There's a little island there. The port of Tauranga is a large port. It has had a tide gauge set up there for a number of years. The measurements have been averaged over a period of 19 years to find or give a mean high a mean watermark or mean sea level, and that's the 0 of the Motoriki datum. So when you'll find that many things are referred to as a datum, but the datum is the system that we use, and the 0 of the Motoriki datum is at Motoriki. So everything's in terms of that point. What we do have is the AP at the container, I would call the origin of heights or levels. AP container RL 36.720. And that's what it is there. You can have an assumed datum. Sometimes we might assume a datum of 100.000 if we don't know. But so if we were to say, what our datum is, the most accurate or the best way to say it was heights are in terms of Motoriki datum. The origin of heights is AP container RL 36.720. And that makes it quite clear what datum you're using, Motoriki, and where you got your origin of heights from, or what mark you considered to be your origin. So the vertical datum is Motoriki, and it's the 0 on that is at Motoriki. So what we're going to do is that's the height that we're given, and we want to establish another height on an AP. I've called AP netball because it's over by the netball administration house thing over the other side of the park area that we're working in. Now what we're going to do is we're going to transfer that height over there via a change point, which is just a wooden peg that we're going to hit in here, and we're going to establish our level halfway between the two. It's best to keep your back sights and foresights equal. That is good at eliminating error. It means that if there is any error, the error is equal if the back sights and foresights are equal. So we keep our back sights and foresights equal wherever possible. It reduces error. It's not always possible. Now, so our major job is to transfer a height from AP container over to AP netball so that we can have heights or heighting points, accurate heighting points on both sides of our job. Also along the way, we're going to work out the RL, the levels or heights of a couple of things along the way that are points of interest along the way. The container roof, we want to just get an idea of what the height of that is, and we're going to do that with an inverted staff where that's upside down. And AP Mo is another little point, but we're just going to pick that up as an intermediate shot. Not quite as accurate as including it in a levelling run as we are here with AP netball, But yeah, just for further interest. And I've also put out 4 grid points, which are just going to be marks on the ground. They're not actually going to be marked, but they're points that we will grid out, and so that we know the level of. So as I said earlier, the optical level doesn't give you position, it only gives you height. So these would be 4 points that we might have measured out with a tape measure. Typically, if we're measuring or leveling a site with a level, we will grid it out into various grid lines and then take levels at the intersections of the grid lines. So these 4 points here, grid A1, A2, B1 and B2, just points on the ground, and they will, in recognition of that, obviously your grid will have more letters and more numbers to get at that. So that's just going to give you a square grid over maybe a 5 or 10 meter grid. So we're going to pick those up. So, well, I've mentioned this backsite business. What is the backsite? Well, the first reading at any setup, every time you set up the instrument, you usually put the staff over at a known point, and this time AP container, or a starting point, and you take a reading, and that reading is called the backsite, and that sort of establishes the horizontal plane, or where it's at. So that's always the first reading, is the backsite. Now we're going to do a double run. So we're going to go out and back and check and do, so that's our check. So we're going to hit every mark twice. So I've got the red run going out that way, or run 1, and the green run coming back this way. So we're going to do a backsite to AP container. That's going to be our first reading. And then we'll do go through these intermediates: container roof, AP mo, grid A1, A2, B1, B2. And then we'll do our foresight to CP, the change point. We'll then move the instrument and do a second setup, and we'll do a backsite to CP change point and a foresight to AP netball. And that's the first run. Then we will move the instrument just slightly so that we've got different height and different reading, and we'll work on the green. Backsite AP netball, foresight CP change point. It doesn't have to be the same point, it can be a different one, but it's convenient just to leave the pegs in this case. And then we pick up again and do a second setup in around about this position, backsite CP change, and then we'll go back through through these points, go backwards, B2, B1, blah blah blah, and then a foresight to AP container, and that's our second run, our double run. So that's what we'll be doing. So what I'll do for that then is we'll just have a look at the field note and see how that all works out. So I've got a field note here. I've got one that I prepared earlier. So here's our field note, and so what I've got here is if I can make these numbers appear and disappear almost at will, so just bear with me. So the first reading that we would do is this reading here, which is the backsite, and you'll see that's in the backsite column. But oh yes, before we do that, we should just back the truck up a little bit. I think we've forgotten something. We've forgotten to do our health and safety, and that's most important because that's the first thing that we should do when we're on site. So I'm just going to back out of the field note there a little bit, and let's just have a look at our health and safety, because we must do our health and safety and get that all sorted. So this is the hazard ID that we use. It's needs a wee bit of an update. So you're going to be working in groups of 4 or 5 ideally, possibly on the day. I understand there's 20, so groups of 4, maybe 5. So in each group you need to appoint a health and safety manager, and they wear, if they're available, a green high-vis jacket, and everyone else will wear an orange one, and their job is to complete the health and safety hazard ID and control. So the job number 1, the date, location, road to carry. The activity is just levelling, boots and high-vis PPE minimum. All right, and the first thing we put down here is the sequence of events, and that just goes down here, just there in that column, and it's unrelated to these lines over here. It's just the sequence of events. So that in this case it'll just be leveling, just doing some leveling. That's all we're doing, so leveling will go in there. Then we check each of these items. Now, overhead wires, underground cables, these are the majority of the items that surveyors encounter. So for each one of those we can say yes or no, whether they're there, and then the control measures, so whether we're going to just deal with them normally or do something a wee bit different because of the circumstance. Now that's where the hazard register comes in, which is here, and that sets out what we normally do and some things that we might do that are a little bit different for unique situations. Just note there's been a change in the legislation. Isolate is no longer an option. It's been incorporated into minimize, so it's either minimize or eliminate. And so these are each of the scenarios there that you can go through. Now, if I just go to here, I've got a completed one here. So this is for another survey, but you can see it's all filled in. Health and safety manager is written up there. This guy's pretty good. And yeah, we're doing there. So you've got to put what the activity. This is the sequence of events. We were going to do a recon, locate some marks, some levelling and some traversing. And we've gone through each of those and circled them as appropriate. PPE as appropriate, just normal. And then there was a couple of extra things there. There was water in the pond, which could be toxic. So we've instructed staff to stay out of that. And there's beehives on the thing there, so stay away from the hives. And cattle and there, things in there, keep the gates closed, that sort of thing. So every job, we just, by law, we have to have this available. Everybody signs it. Everybody in the group must sign it to say that they've read it, so that if anything happens, they can't say that they were unaware. If any visitors come and join your group, they must sign your sheet as well. That includes tutors, anybody really. So we need to be on the ball with that. So that's the health and safety sorted. So that's hopefully just a brief induction there on the health and safety and how that goes. So let's get back to the field note and have a look at that. So here's the field note here, and I've for some reason something's gone a bit haywire there. Oh, the health and safety still turned on. So there's the field note. So as I said, the first reading to AP container was a backsite, and then we did a reading to the container roof. Now this is with an inverted staff. The staff is upside down, and these are intermediate shots. These are intermediates, as I said earlier. So the staff's upside down, that's recorded with a 0 and what have you. Then we do the other intermediates here, and they're all recorded like so. And then we do a foresight to the change point, which is round about halfway across to the netball. Okay, now ideally you've got 5 in your group, so you've probably got one person holding the staff, one person writing the stuff down. They should be able to calculate these out. So the calculations are quite simple in some ways. So it's always the readings to AP container stay on that line. So the only readings to that go on that line, they go there, and this is the container roof. So we always that minus that. If it's positive, it goes there. If it's negative, it goes in the fall column. So this one here will be a rise, obviously, because it's going up to the container roof. All right, and this one here has got to be a fall. I'm picking because it's going from the roof down, so it'll be that minus that, and that'll go there. So as you can see, that all goes there. So this gets filled out as you're going along. That minus that would be positive, so that's going to go there, and that one there's going to go there, and that one there's going to go there, and that one there looks like a negative, and that's going to go there. Now I show these as a negative. Normally some people don't bother with that because fall means negative, and that means rise like that. Now the raw distance is now I need to just quickly check just to 36720 is what that was. So that's going to be there, and that's well, I could have done that, couldn't I? That's 36720 and 36720 is the container. Now in here all you do is you take that and you add that to give you the next one below, so you can be bringing this with you as you go along as well. Let's have a look there. So format painter, so you can be bringing these numbers along as you go as well. So this one here is just that plus that if it's negative, and so on, and they just accumulate down there like that. So and that's our raw difference in height. This one here now, of course, is a bit different. It's that minus that, which is going to be a negative. So that goes in there like that. All right, and that can just continue down there like that. And that gives us to CP1. And that is our first setup there. So that's their foresight to CP1. So now we're going to move, and we're going to set up halfway between CP1 and AP netball. So that's a new setup, so it'll be a new backsite. So we'll have a backsite over here, like so. Format painter into there. So that's our backsite there, and then we'll do a foresight. Oh, that's not right. We'll do a foresight into here. No, that's not right either. Sorry. That goes into there like that. Okay, and again we can calculate that minus that is going to be negative. So that's going to go there. Put that in there, format painter. Go there like that, and then that will should just drag down to here. Alrighty, hopefully I've got this, I haven't corrupted my thing. And that's our that's our first run through. So just to recap, that goes there. So it's always just one from the line above minus one, the number from the line above minus the number from the line below, either below or to the right. So we've got that minus that, 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 and that minus that. And then here, that minus that, and so on. So now we're going to go back the other way. So we will do a backside to AP netball, which is right there, a backside to AP netball and a foresight to CB1. So that's just going to go to there. What I've done here is I can hide the numbers in the spreadsheet with the number formatting, and then I can, by formatting them back, I can make them appear again. Something to note here, that the numbers that are written down are always 3 decimal places. They're always 3 decimal places. So you're always reading 3 decimal places. You'll see that a little bit later when we read. So every number's got 3 decimal places. Did you hear me? I said 3 decimal places about 3 times. So yeah, 3 decimal places always. All right, so that's there, and then that's you're going to change between there and then another backside to here, into here. So format into there, another backside, and then these will be intermediates again in here. All right, intermediate sites in here, and these will all be the intermediates to the same ones again in the reverse order. And then finally, for the second run, as I pointed out in the diagram there, a foresight to AP container. And then we'll work out each of these through here. So this minus this will go, okay, so let's go here, format painter, that'll go in there, I'm picking. Yep, so that's that minus that. Oh, we need something here. That minus that, that'll also be positive, so format painter, that'll go in there. Okay, now that minus that, that'll be a format, that'll be come in here. Oh, no, it won't. Oh, sorry, in here. Right. It goes in there. That minus that, that'll be negative, so that'll be a format that goes in there. That minus that, that again, that'll be negative, so that'll go in there. And that minus that will be negative, so that will go in there. And format, and then we're on the roof again, so that's definitely going to be positive. And then we're going to be obviously back up to the mark there to come down off the roof. And these here, they'll just slide down there. Okay, and you'll see here that we started at 36,720 and we've got to 36,722. But one of the things that we can do is these checks here, and that is that the sum of the backsides and the sum of the foresights should be equal. And you can see we've got a 2 millimeter difference there. That's our error. And you'll see here, there's 2mm difference there. That's good. The intermediates, you can make errors in the intermediates and it won't affect your overall close, so you've got to be a bit careful about those. And the sum of the rises and the sum of the falls should have the same difference as well. So format painter there, drop those across there, and you can see that there's a 2mm difference there as well. And then if you go from there to there, you'll see that there's a 2mm difference. Okay, like so. And so that's going to be obviously our correction. So we can put that in there. All right. So we've got to apply a correction. So we'll put it that one there. Format. We'll put it in there. And now the correction is 002. You don't apply the correction to the intermediate. So format painter. There's no correction there, and then I'll put no correction there as well. We've only got 2mm to distribute, and now I'm going to distribute 1mm there. So format painter into there, and that is going to be -1, and then we've got to apply that from all the way down. So format painter. Like that, so in there, and then it'll go through there to the, so we're going to have 0, 0, 1, and then that applies, and then flick another one in at the end, like that there. And so then for the intermediates, we use this correction here. So format painter. Now this is, oh, this is going to not go well here. I'll just go format cells number 3 on that, and that'll make that go all good. Okay, and then we can go format painter for there, and it'll keep the so they'll all be 0, and format painter, these ones here will all be 001 for all of those intermediates. So the intermediates all have the same correction, and it's the one above. So that's it, all corrected. And now we go through and do the heights, and the heights are quite simple. It's just that plus that. So yep, I've done all that previously, and that's just going to go in there like so. And there it is, all corrected. And then what you need to do is just do a little, you could mean these two out. The container roof, you'll get 2. You can only have one level for a point, so you'll take the mean of those two, the mean of those two, the mean of those. Remember that these ones are only on the ground, so if they're 10 or 20 mils different, it's not too much of a problem. Just mean them out, maybe show your means over here or something like that. So that's the field note there, and there'll be a field note available for you in the blank there. So we're going on a little, it does go on a little bit. It takes a while to get through this, so you can see how much there is. So the next thing I think we'll do is we'll drop out of the field note, and we've done the health and safety, and we'll go back and have a look at our PowerPoint. So that was the one that we've done there. I've talked about the datum and so on there, and the different runs. So the next thing is the instrument itself, and this is the instrument here that we're using, the little optical level. So some things to note. This is a gun sight here that you can aim across the, just to roughly aim at the staff and what have you. Now this is the eyepiece here. This little here does turn, and that's set to eliminate parallax. This little eyepiece here, and this is the end that you look through, the small end. This is the objective end, and that's the one that you point towards the staff. This knob here is for focusing so that you can see the staff. And this knob here is a little continuous tangent screw. This is once you get the staff, the instrument positioned somewhere near the staff, you can make nice fine measurements here. This is a 360-degree sort of graticule that we don't really use. You could use that for direction with a tape measure. And there's 3 foot screws down here. So they're the general names of things that you need to be aware of. Now, it's very important that parallax is eliminated. So parallax occurs when the focusing screw in the eyepiece is done incorrectly. So it's the diagram on the left where the parallax is present. Is detected when you move. What happens is when you move your eye, the reading changes. So if you move your eye up here, you get a lower reading, and down here you get a higher reading. This is because the center of the crosshairs is not in the plane of the distant point. So this is what happens. You get these movements here. So you must eliminate parallax so that no matter where you look through your eye, you will get the thing. So to remove parallax, hold a sheet of paper in front of the object and adjust the eyepiece so that the crosshairs are in focus. Or you can just look into a blank sky. Then and bring the staff into focus using the focusing screw. So just set that so that the crosshairs, set the eyepiece so that the crosshairs are is dark, black and crisp, and then use the focusing screw to focus. Once you've set the crosshairs, you shouldn't have to change them too much, and just check that the eye doesn't move. Now, if you find it uncomfortable to look through the instrument to see the crosshairs, or you can't read the staff properly, you've probably not got it right. It should be nice and crisp focus and the eyepieces. So if it's uncomfortable or difficult, you've got it wrong. It should be nice and easy and good and clear to see. Okay, so that's parallax. And then I've provided here is some examples of looking through the staff for some reading. Now, as I said earlier, it's always a 3 decimals. So there's always a number, 2.6. If you look at this one here, 2.662, 3.226, 4.723, and you're estimating the millimeters. You're estimating, so each one of those, there's black, either the white space is 10 millimeters or the black space is 10 millimeters. You're estimating 2.651 or 650. You can be a couple of millimeters out, it doesn't matter. And this one here is upside down, inverted staff on a roof. So read it from the bottom up, 0, or the top down in this case, 0.574 or something like that. 0 minus because it's upside down. So yeah, that's all of the reading there. So I'll just come back to the start slide there, and I think I've covered the reading, the horizontal plane, the datum, parallax. All of those things have all been covered. It's taken me some 39 minutes to get through that, but that'll be time well spent, I feel, so you can get out in the field and get a bit of an idea of what we're going to do and what have you. So yes, if we just go to here, just quickly recap, AP container, change point. So we're going to do a setup, do backsight, intermediates, foresights, change, backsights, foresights, change, backsight, foresight, change, backsight, intermediates, foresight. And that'll all be recorded in this in the field note, and we'll just turn that off there. Turn the field note on here. Here's the field note here, and that's how it will be given. So I'll give you a field note all in the notes, and there'll be some notes associated with this, hopefully. And yeah, we can get on. So I'm looking forward to catching up with you out in the field and just showing you some of the intricacies and skills involved in leveling. All good. So yeah, cheers, and we'll see you.